Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Shri Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Good day, everyone. This is Taranjeet Rathore, your host of Sikh Anesthesia Podcast. I know it's been a long time since I haven't done a podcast, but I was busy with school, as all of you can understand. But today, this podcast is very special to me. We are here celebrating the Sikh Awareness Month. Sikh as in SIKH, not SICK. But here we are. And today I have people, CRNAs from the Sikh community who are in the nurse anesthesia profession. So before any further ado, I will be introducing them. So our guests are firstly, we have Japtej Veer Jap Barar. He's a CRNA who's been practicing since 2018, and he is the first Sikh CRNA with a turban in the state of Virginia. He graduated with a Master's of Anesthesia degree from Miami Shores, Florida, and he currently resides in Richmond, Virginia. He's a business owner and he practices as an independent contractor at a level one trauma center. And I can never pronounce that because whatever. But he is somewhere in Virginia. What is that? What's the city called?
It's Charlottesville, Virginia.
Whatever he said. But yeah, that's where he is. So if you guys are in the area, hit him up. But his passion is to educate patients and promote a balanced lifestyle, striving for functional medicine through a holistic approach of health, through diet, exercise, and importance of sleep hygiene and reduction of stress. He enjoys precepting future CRNAs and has worked with many nurse anesthesia residents from various programs. On his free times, he also enjoys spending time with his wife, family, and friends, and trying out new restaurants and breweries. He also enjoys weightlifting, going on hikes, and scenic drives. I think this is me, but except the wife part, because I don't have a wife yet. But
You'll get there, man.
this is literally me. But moving forward, well, thank you. First of all, welcome, Jup. And moving forward, Geet Atwal is a CRNA who's been practicing in the Central Valley, California. We're practically neighbors, but she's been a CRNA for over a year and a half. She obtained her Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree from California State University Stanislaus in 2017 and graduated with her Master's of Science in Nursing CRNA degree from Samuel Merritt University in 2023. She is currently enjoying life post graduation and establishing her practice. This might be a little bit TMI for people who don't know, but Geet's husband is Meet, so Geet and Meet, and they both are Meet is about to be a CRNA. He's graduating pretty soon, and I think
August.
that's so freaking cool.
That's awesome.
Congratulations. Thank you. We're almost there. Not quite, but yes, almost.
True power
Yes, true power couples. I'm like, wow, that is so cool. Last but not the least, I have Jazz or Jasleen, aka Jazz Kohli. Jazz is a certified registered nurse anesthesiologist, CRNA in the Phoenix, Arizona area. She graduated from the University of North Carolina in 2018 and is the current president of Arizona Association of Nurse Anesthesiology. Way to go! Way to go! Jazz is a first generation South Asian American born in New York City, and she was raised in Scottsdale, Arizona. During high school years, she lived in Amritsar, India.
So did I, Jazz.
There you go. Amritsar right there.
Oh my gosh, we need to meet and hang out. I already
Amritsar right there. So, during high school years, she lived in Amritsar, India, and embraced the Khalsa Sikh lifestyle. Her daily seva at Harmandir Sahib, also known as the Golden Temple, and travels helped her shape her global perspective. Outside the operating room, Jazz is a passionate foodie who enjoys exploring global cuisines, traveling, and spending quality time with her family and 3 fur babies. As a devoted mother, she's supporting her son as he embarks on his college journey. So, welcome all. Thank you so much for taking out your time. I know all of you are very busy, but this means a lot to me. So, do you mind if we just dive right in?
Let's go for it.
Perfect. So this question is kind of like for each and every one of you. And today I'm not going to talk. I'm going to listen, even though I just talked for like so long. But I'm going to listen today because I'm also very intrigued and interested in this podcast. So first question is, what inspired um, each one of you to pursue a career in nurse anesthesia? And I'll just start in the order which you appear on my screen. So first, Jazz. So, what inspired you to pursue a career in nurse anesthesia?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate being here. My journey to being a CRNA is probably a little bit different than other people's. I was a single mom at 19, and I felt like nursing was something I could do. My uncle is an anesthesiologist. I have a lot of physicians in my family, and I just thought it was something I could do. So I became a nurse when I was 20. Juggled that path. I think the path to becoming a CRNA kind of stemmed from the lady who did my epidural. She was a CRNA, and that was kind of what I wrote my position statement about and what I, helped me get through that path to school. But that's kind of what led me to doing it. And I just wanted to make people feel comfortable and safe. Giving people that like magic switch where you can turn off their pain and put them to sleep is kind of like magic, and it feels amazing.
It is magic, and I liked how you started with your your uncles are all physicians.
Mm-hmm.
The stereotype, and it is true because a
Yeah.
lot of Indian people pursue medicine, and they choose to become a medical doctor or maybe a nurse. So that was one of my reasons too, because that's how I wanted to get into nursing. But thank you so much for that response. Geet, same question for you. What inspired you to pursue a career in nurse anesthesia?
So for me personally, I actually did not know what CRNAs were, what the profession entailed of. I used to work in a neurotrauma and I was taking care of this patient who was declared brain dead and he was deteriorating. Like we could not stabilize him. The patient, like it was two nurses to one patient, could not stabilize this guy, and he really wanted to be a donor. So we had the donor network like fly in, and we did the procurement. Usually we do a couple days to like make sure that they're optimized. We didn't have that kind of time. So we took him back, and I was stressing out the whole shift because, again, two nurses to one patient. I was like, changing my drips, doing things, and I could not stabilize them hemodynamically. And when I gave report to the CRNA, oh my God, I was like, wow, this is an angel. She comes in, is not stressed. I tell her about the patient, give report. And I'm like, do you need these drips? Do you need this? And she's like, I don't know, I got it, honey. I got it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I actually was fortunate enough to shadow her, and I was blown away. Like for me, it was like there was a symphony and she was orchestrating it. Like because she was able to stabilize this patient hemodynamically, only then were people able to, or were we able to get like organ procurement. And it was so important for this patient and the family that his wishes were, like adhered to. So to me, that just blew my mind. I was like, I want to be her. Like, I want to be her. I'm not at my full potential. I want to be her. I want to be smart enough to know that this is the call I can make and be confident in my decisions to take care of my patients. So that was what inspired me. And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going for.
I remember my first time when I was shadowing, and I had the similar experience. I was taking care of a transplant patient. Patient came from the ICU with multiple drips, and the CRNA kept their calm. And it is like I don't know, it's just such a immense feeling when you kind of look at the responsibility, but it's a fine line because you can't get overwhelmed, but you also have to have that calm because you are the manager of the operating room. Anything goes wrong, they look at you. And now that I'm in the clinicals, I see it day to day. So it is an immense responsibility and also very rewarding. So thank you so much for sharing that. Jup, same question for you, Vire. So what inspired you to pursue a career in nurse anesthesia?
Yeah, Taran, first of all, thank you for having us here, man. It's an honor. I'm meeting you for the first time, Geet, as well as Jazz, and to meet fellow Punjabi as well as Sikh CRNAs and future CRNAs. It's a pleasure to be here. My journey probably started in high school. The typical question when you're in high school and towards the end is, what do you want to do when you grow up? Majority of my family was actually in IT. And
No way. For real?
yeah, like my extended family and whatnot, the typical stuff. I didn't have any. Oh, I did have one physician in my family, and my mom's Mussy, who with love we call Nani. She was a nurse who came in the early
Right.
'80s. So I actually applied to George Mason University as a computer science major. And talking to her over the summer, about 3 to 4 weeks prior, before starting freshman year in college, I changed my major in nursing. And it's the best thing I've done. I graduated at around age 20, I think, Jazz, same time as you. Became a nurse. Very difficult to get a job, to be honest. I wanted to be in the ICU immediately. I've always wanted to be in healthcare, and typically what we're taught at a young age is to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, something that is pretty cliche. And I wanted to do something different, but still be able to help people and provide a difference. So I became a nurse, and I started at a very low step down unit and tried to apply to the ICU after 2 years of working at a adult rehab / med surg unit. Got an interview and got rejected, unfortunately. And then I applied to the CVICU, had an interview, and unfortunately got into CVICU for a couple of years. Worked there, saw CRNAs bring fresh patients from the OR who had heart cabbages, thoracotomies, things like that, and just seeing that and wanting to be a nurse practitioner, not even a CRNA, I looked and researched more of what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, they don't teach you what a CRNA is. And to this day, majority of patients don't know what CRNAs are. So I did it on my own research, plus working with some CRNAs in CVICU, getting their patients. I shadowed a few and just knew that I wanted to pursue this beautiful field. And I have zero regrets.
There you go, man. There you go. Breaking the barriers, huh? Not gonna be
Absolutely, man. One step at a time.
not gonna be another IT guy. Good for you, man.
My
Good for
dad is
you.
here, so it's definitely spot on.
Yeah. No, for
Yeah.
real. So the first day I walk into my clinicals and my clinical coordinator, and we were talking, right? And he's like, "Okay, so were you born here?" I was like, "No, I was born in India." He's like, "Okay, so you're in the healthcare. Do you have any siblings?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a brother." And then you know what he says? So what kind of engineer he is? I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, yes, he's studying to be a mechanic. He's studying to be a mechanical engineer. But but yeah. So thank you so much for answering the introduction questions. Now we will just ask individual questions and so on and so forth. Same concept. I'll call on you guys. But yeah, this is for Jazz. So can you walk us through your journey from specifically from like nursing school to becoming a CRNA, and you can also talk about how it was for you as a single mother in those beginning stages, because we do have a lot of our viewers are also like single parents. So yeah, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you. So I was, young mother, and I know a lot of people can identify with being parents, single parents out there. The added layer of being Punjabi, coming from a Sikh family, was obviously a tough time for me growing up. There was no other kids my age who were popping babies out, unwed at that time. So that was a struggle. When I graduated nursing school, I knew that I wanted to be a nurse anesthesiologist because I had a CRNA do my epidural, and I was like, this is magic. I want this. And when I graduated, I worked here in Phoenix for about 6 months in the medical ICU. I had done an externship there, but the only school that was out here was Midwestern, and I did not want to actually just put my eggs in one basket. As phenomenal as that school is, and I train a lot of their residents now, and I volunteer there. It's a phenomenal school. I moved my family, my son and I, all the way to North Carolina, and I worked out there at Duke Hospital. I wanted to work in the OR, and I actually became a scrub nurse for a long time. I did trauma scrub nursing. I worked with a lot of CRNAs out there. Go Duke. And then after I did that for a while, I went back to the cardiothoracic ICU. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start applying to school. Saved up some money, travel nursed a little bit, did ICU, travel nursing, and then got into the University of North Carolina. And that was a great experience because it was actually the Raleigh School of Nurse Anesthesia when I went. So for all my East Coast people, if you're from Virginia, probably you've heard of UNC Raleigh.
Yep.
It was a great experience. I loved training out there. I will say being a single mom going through anesthesia school is difficult because I was in an integrated program. So I know out here and across the country, programs are a little different, and some people do a didactic portion and then a clinical portion. But my school was, you started school in August, and in October you were in the OR intubating patients, doing patient care, manning cases, doing care plans, etc. So that juggle was definitely very difficult, but I had a lot of support with my family. I had great support with my program. I thought it was really helpful. Balancing being a mom and anesthesia school, I think, is probably one of the toughest things I've ever done. But it was definitely worth it. I mean, my son is about to go to college right now, and he's come with me on mission trips, and he's thinking about, his future. So it's kind of nice that he was able to see me go through that too, because I worked night shift when I was a nurse, and I'd see him before school, and then I'd go to sleep. You just have to do what you got to do. You got to grind to get there. And sometimes, we don't take that time to pause and look back, our journey to becoming from nursing school to a CRNA. So doing this podcast was looking at some of these things again to reflect back on. That was pretty inspiring. So thank you. That's pretty much it. There we go.
Was that?
That's right.
I had to do it, but yeah.
Will you guys excuse me for 1 second?
He's gonna grab his too.
No. This is edit.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
I apologize. Right. This is so embarrassing. I did not charge my my iPad. It's at 9%. So I'm so sorry.
Go to
funny.
Jazz, I'm so inspired by you. My mom is a single parent, and I have watched her grind, and it's been so impressive. So every time I think I want to complain about, oh, today was rough, I think about how hard she worked to help me get to where I am today. And I'll never take that for granted. She's my idol. She's like this 4'11" Punjabi, nurse who's so tiny. Yeah. And she was so passive, Yeah. And she worked at a prison and became so assertive because of the stuff she saw, and she was like, okay, I have to be more harder, Sure. And so for me, oh my gosh, I admire you so much.
Thank you. That is so sweet. Yeah, it was, I had a lot of family support. I mean, just even going through nursing school, I think nursing school at having a baby, that was tough too, because I was done. I always remember being on my OB rotation. I had just had my son, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is all so real right now and emotional for me. Everything I'm reading, I'm going through.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Jazz. How was did you already do the college reveal party last night? Was it last night?
We did, yeah. So Ray is going to ASU Barrett's.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he got into a lot of schools. I thought he was going to fake everyone out and be like, I'm going to Northeastern, because he got into tons of schools, but he got scholarships. He's a bright kid. He has almost 50 college credits too before college.
Oh wow.
Good for him.
He's grinding. I'm very proud of him. That's the best thing I've ever done as a person. Being a CRNA is secondary, but being a mom is definitely something I'm the most proud of.
There you go. Well, moving forward, thank you so much for sharing that, Jazz.
Thank you.
Moving forward, this question is for Geet. Geet, were there any pivotal moments in your journey during your training that shaped the provider you are today?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. So I was sharing with Jazz. I don't know if you're gonna edit that part out, but my mom is a single parent. She has 3 kids, and my dad committed suicide, and she really stepped up to the plate to take care of us. And she grinded day and night. She worked 2 jobs to help us financially get through whatever we want, and just make sure that she always instilled in us hey, education is what's gonna get you through life. Really get your life together, study, because you can't depend on people. And seeing her life, I'm like, I know that. So I love my husband. He's amazing. We're going to be it for life. But I know that I have to take care of myself financially because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. So for me, personally, my mom really helped me just be like the best role model ever. And while I was in CRNA school, I felt like I had the most personal growth for myself. I think I've always been like a kind person, but I learned how to be assertive. And what I mean by that is like I've worked with people who would tell me like, oh, you're brown and you're Indian, like you're submissive, or you're that's like that's what they assume, they assume
And
that.
you're like trying.
And I'm like, and then you just have to really learn to show that you can be like assertive, even assertive aggressive if you need to be, to just get your point across. Because sometimes think people undermine you. So I think that was a really big learning lesson for me. There's just so much, every single day you go to work, you learn something new. So I always tell myself be open-minded. If I'm ever uncertain about something, I'll ask someone like a colleague and say, hey, just bouncing off ideas. What do you think? How would you handle this situation? I think it's always important to be humble because you never want to be cocky and accidentally cause your patient harm because patient safety is everything for us. But not nothing too exciting or pivotal. There's so many, that just shape you as a person. So every day learn something new.
Well, first of all, sorry for your loss, and thank you
It's
so
okay.
much for feeling comfortable and sharing that. I feel like your life journey and where you came from and the experiences that you saw early on in your life, that is very pivotal to who you are as a person.
Yeah. Yeah, Geet, thank you for sharing that. Jazz, thank you for sharing your story too. Sometimes we assume that getting to where we
Yeah,
are is a smooth
Mm-hmm.
process. We have help from our families or partners, but no one really knows the struggle to get here. We just know what we went through. So thank you for
no,
sharing that.
thank you so much for
Thank you,
sharing
Jim.
that. That is, wow. Can't even imagine. That's crazy.
Yeah, Geet,
But
your mom sounds like an incredible woman.
yeah, she
She
sounds
really
like
is.
super mom.
As they say, Mama Tandiyan
Mama
Shama.
Tandian.
So, yeah.
That's right. So moving forward, this question is for Jup, and I can also resonate a lot to this. But this question is for Jup. So Jup, obviously you are a Sikh turbaned man. How has your Sikh identity influenced your journey as a CRNA, or even when you were training as a nurse anesthesia resident?
Yeah, no, thank you. Actually, I was born here in America, and I grew up with my hair
Mm-hmm.
cut. I didn't start growing my hair until maybe I was
Okay.
10. You could say it's a spiritual thing, or something just came into me, and I wanted to have that
Right.
identity. But having that identity and pursuing that through tough times, you know, it allows you to just be wholesome with what your background is, what what you live for, what you strive for. So you asked about my journey as a Sikh. Yeah, was it easy? Sure, probably not. A lot of people in this country, unfortunately, still don't know who Sikhs are. Um, there's a lot of Sikhs with their hair cut. My brother has his hair cut himself, so it's a personal choice. Whether someone's religious or spiritual, that's their personal choice of how they feel. But I think doing patient care. First of all, everyone assumes that you're a doctor, and you have to clarify that no, I'm not a doctor, even though you explain them, and then when you're leaving, they'll say thank you, doctor. Um, Maybe it's because I'm not tall. I'm 6'5".
Jesus
Maybe it's
Christ,
the
brother.
presence. Yeah. So I'm
Okay,
six
you gotta give
five,
5 inches to Geet and 5 inches to Jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should see the scrub pants. I
Diwali
was like
comes,
high long.
is like,
Yeah, I don't look as dapper with my scrub pants, but no, I mean it's definitely a journey, and I think the biggest thing is educating patients. Now, don't get me wrong, people know there are patients that know who Sikhs
yeah,
are, whether that's having a kara on or whatever, they know. But I think the biggest thing is just educating people, and that's a continuous spectrum of letting people know who we are, what we believe in, selfless service to others, equality, social justice, things like that. So those kind of things resonate in our religion. And, me, I'm not that super religious, and I don't know how to read the Gurbani, but like I said, it's in my spirit. So just educating folks and letting them know who we are, and continuing doing that as well. And having a name out there for that is the best thing you can do.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jeff. I always feel like you can almost always tell when someone is being curious or when someone is being ignorant. And I have met so many people who are genuinely curious about the Sikh religion. Like they would
Yes.
be like, "Oh, what is
Yes.
that thing? Your kada is so cool, right? Like, what
Yep.
is that thing? That is so cool. I love your beard. I love the way you do your turban. What is that thing?" Right? I love how you match it with your, your fit and whatever. Like I've had so many people. So what I usually do is I just have like a 3-minute elevator speech kind of thing, and it hits the points and it gets it through, right? And a lot of times when they do find out, like what founding fathers had imagined for America, and the principles that America is built upon, and if you compare them with the Sikh religion, they do resonate a lot. And when you make that connection with people, it does make sense, right? So yeah, there is a lot of people who are out there who don't know, unfortunately, but there's a majority of them are also just curious. So I try
Yep.
to educate one
Yeah.
patient at a time.
Absolutely. And I do want to reiterate, I don't wear a turban or a bug at work or in the operating room. It's just comfort, because we do long hours. I just tie my hair back in a bun and then have a bouffant in the operating room.
Can
Okay.
we hear your elevator speech?
Hmm?
Can we hear your 3-minute speech?
You want to hear my elevator speech?
Eisen?
I feel like you're always waiting for a patient and to ask you something.
Who's gonna ask me next? What is this thing to ask me next? Who's gonna?
And
I'll be
mind
like,
you, you live in California.
who's gonna be like,
You're wearing. What does that mean to you?
no. Who's gonna be like, oh, I know you don't eat bacon. I'm like, hold it,
Right?
hold it right
Oh,
there,
do you?
hold it right there.
Yeah, at least you live in California, where there are a good amount of Punjabi folks.
Dude,
I grew up in Northern Virginia, where there's a lot of there's 6 or 7 Gurdwaras, but currently I live in Central Virginia, and I practice in Central
Yeah.
Virginia. And certain areas, we have people come from West Virginia or rural areas that, to be honest, haven't seen anything but a white or a black person. So do they give you a look? Absolutely, they give you a look. But I think the best part is you walk in the room, and your job is to clear that fear or anxiety they have.
Right.
Doesn't matter, whatever it is. If you have those 5 to 10 minutes with your patient prior to taking them back, to allow them to know that, hey, I'm here for you. You're going to be in good hands, and we're going to take you to recovery as comfortable as possible. And coming up with a smile, honestly, is the best thing. I know it can be intimidating when a 6'5", 250-pound man walks in and introduces himself as one of the anesthesia providers. But
you're like, I'm
to let
Jeff,
them know
I'm here
that
to knock
they're
you out. And they're like, ah!
Yeah, but honestly, it's very important for me, whether it's a small surgery or a all-day surgery, to let them know that I'm here for them, and just to relieve that stress so that they trust you.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So moving forward, well, I'm gonna ask you the same question or similar question to you, Jup. Do you feel that there's enough visibility or mentorship for Sikh nurses, Sikh nursing students, Sikh nurse anesthesia residents who maybe want to advance into pursuing a higher degree in nursing? Do you feel that way? And what can we do to increase that, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I don't know what today, what the mentorship looks like for people or Sikhs that are trying to pursue nursing or nurse practitioner or nurse anesthesia. I don't know what the mentorship, to be honest, looks like, but I think there's always a lack of education for folks, and not having that platform to share experiences or to educate someone in what we do. It's you don't really have to do something that your parents want you to do, right? Do something that makes you happy. What fulfills you? What in today's world, you must have a degree that allows you to have a suitable life. Unfortunately, unless you get very lucky, gone are those days where you can do a music degree or certain degrees that just don't have the same payout. So educating people at the Gurdwara or in general is important, I think. And I would love to do that in the future. A lot of people still don't know what CRNAs are or nurse anesthetists are, let alone they can't even pronounce those words. Even my dad, when I was going through my journey, he would tell his friends that I'm becoming an anesthesiologist, and I had to correct him that I was a dad. That's not what I'm doing. It's nurse anesthetist. So no, there's a huge lack and a gap of communication, I think, and I hope schools are doing a better job in educating folks. And then I don't know if people want to do bedside nursing for very long. It's changed. So I think it's important to educate them and maybe have them shadow you and see what our field is like. Even a day of shadowing and can tell you a lot about, hey, is this suitable for you or not? I'm sorry. I hope I answered that
You
question.
just described the last 3 months of my life with my son going through this pre-college journey, talking about like an investment in your future and like what you're going to get from your, education, because it is a return on investment. You're paying for a degree.
Absolutely.
And just going through that process. He's shadowing, he's a volunteer, like just getting it out there. I thought you answered that question really well.
Thank you.
I went to this conference, and I don't know if you guys know Lena Gold. She is the founder of Diversity CRNA, and this was my first conference in 2019. And she said something that resonated with me, and I still think about that to this day. And what she said was, "To be heard is to be seen." And I'm not sure if this is originally from her, but she said that, and I was like, "Wow!" Like when you see people who are from the similar background who are doing stuff that you want to do. For example, Jazz, she's the president of AZNA, right? So to be heard is to be seen. It inspires you, right? So I definitely resonate with that. And I especially like the fact that, at our local gurdwaras, we can do this stuff. Talk about nurse anesthesia, talk about, even though it's not a Sikh thing that, our parents want us to be, doctors or engineers. The culture, the Indian culture, plays a big role in it. But also, they are looking out, as you said. Unfortunately, the passion, interest, or the music or the artistry industry, unless you're really lucky or like, you're really good, the revenue is just not there. The income is just not there. So your parents are looking out for you. Also, they don't know any better. My dad, he's been working since he was like 13, right? And he didn't even got the opportunity to graduate middle school. Same thing with my mom. So for someone to move out of a village and immigrate his whole family to the United States to give me a better opportunity, I feel like he has done enough, more than enough, right? So I can ask more. So their whole thing is, just make sure you take advantage of this opportunity and do the best for yourself. So
And we could have a social stigma in our culture of especially for men. I hate to say this, but when you as a man, if you tell someone, hey, I'm pursuing a nursing degree or a nursing career, someone who hasn't been here for a while, or they look at you kind of like, are you sure you want to do that or whatnot? So, educating folks on that and letting you know that, hey, it's an honor to provide care in a different way instead of just being a physician. And to be honest, the physician lifestyle today is,
Mm-hmm.
even in the past, it's not that easy. With that much debt and time going to med school, residency, fellowship, it takes a long time. So you have to think about, do I want to invest these many years to become a doctor, or do I want to invest in this much time to be an advanced practitioner? Both are at need in this country, but it's kind of choosing what path you want to go to have that quality of life for you and your family.
I'd like to add to that. For me personally, when I was growing up and I had to think about what I want to do for a profession, I really thought about it and was like, I want to have a work-life balance. So, like I said, my mom is a single parent. For me, she was never there for any of my big events because she was grinding and, working for us to have a home, have a roof over our head and whatnot. She made it when I was nominated for prom queen, so that was awesome. Or when I was running my race to, make it to state. Like she made it to those important events, but nothing else. And for me, it was so important that I wanted to be super involved in my kids whenever I have them, and not just always be at work on call. For me, a work-life balance was something that I really desperately wanted. And I heard it from everybody. Oh, to Dr. Banja, too smart, yeah. That's not what I wanted. This is the profession that I wanted to pursue because I wanted the balance. And even now as a CRNA, when I go to work, I've talked to OBGYNs, I've talked to anesthesiologists, I've talked to so many people, and they're like, I wish we knew what a CRNA was. I wish. And I'm
Yes,
like, and I'm like, you know what? That's the best thing for me because it's like I have a work-life balance. If I don't want to pick up call, I don't have to, you know?
yeah.
Like once I'm done with my shift, I can just, check it out of my head. So I love the life work balance that I have.
My uncle is a physician anesthesiologist, and he told me very early on, do not do this, become a CRNA, because you will have work life balance. You will
Hmm.
not take call, because at that point, it was a lot of call, and now it's kind of split up. But not knowing what's out there, what's available, like kids don't know, like it goes back to educating, being visible, and like
Yeah.
that's something we are working on a lot here. Like we go out to middle schools and high schools and like underserved communities, and we try and educate them on the nursing profession and getting it out there, because it's across the board. Like people are like, oh, you can become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, and they don't know about these other possibilities, like that you could have a great work life balance, work when you want to work, and be home for your kids or your family or travel the world, you know. Well,
Yeah,
I want to
absolutely.
circle back to something what Jup mentioned, and I was actually one of my mentees who's applying to CRNA school. I was sharing my personal statement with them, and one of the reasons in my personal statement was actually building a space for Indian men in the field of nurse anesthesia. Right. So, for example, if you look at the numbers and stats, Indian nurse anesthesiologists are very almost rare, right? Very few. And if you counter the gender into it, you can even count them on your fingers. Because I don't know a lot of male Indian CRNAs, right? I was talking to them, and actually in 2018, I got the opportunity to do a volunteer trip in New Delhi, India. It was like a slum clinic, and same thing happened, man. Same thing happened. They're like, "Oh, why are you doing nursing? It's a female job." That's the perception in the community. It's a female profession. You should be a doctor or something like that. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. And it still haunts our society. And it's like, it's not an easy job to be a nurse, man. It's not. It is not.
Oh,
And to be considered that it is more feminine of nature, or or just be like, or being a doctor is more masculine of nature, I think we have a bigger problem, right? But I'm glad that we have men who are pursuing this profession and teaching people, being inspiration for people. So awesome. Next question is for Jazz. um, what does the Sikh what does the Sikh representation in the nurse anesthesia profession mean to you? I have seen you personally speak and be at a lot of events, right? Diversity, AZANA, AANA. So, what does that representation mean to you?
yeah, thank you. I think kind of what I was saying earlier, just being able to be visible, showing people that you are actually Indian, you are Desi, you are Sikh, Punjabi, you know, whatever it is that you are, whatever kind of Asian that you identify as. I think that's a big part of it. Not actually being very religious now, you know, that I don't necessarily go and do seva, I don't wear bana, you know, I'm not that religious anymore, but just being able to represent and educate people. Most people, just like when you tell people I'm a nurse anesthetist, they're like, well, what is that? When you say you're a Sikh, they're like, what is that? I don't know what that means.
Are you sick?
Yeah, like, I'm like, no, I'm feeling fine, thanks. And then you can go into the whole story because people really just don't know a lot of world
Right.
history. And I think that's something that's I learned very early on, is that there isn't really a global awareness. Like if you
There's
grew up in the country that you live in and that's the only place you've been in, or the state that you live in, like Jup mentioned, people from West Virginia or North Carolina, like that's your whole world and that's all you see, then you don't really have that awareness of other cultures, other beliefs, other faiths, other, you know, ways that you can live your life. So just being able to tell that story, you know, to anyone that asks and share, you know, my background, because I actually was on the reverse side. I grew up here in the US and then I got to travel back to India, which it sounds like Geet also had a similar experience. But that definitely shaped me, even just not as a provider, but as a person, you know, being able to see different ways of life, seeing how people live their lives in other parts of the world is very humbling. You realize how much you have, and it really is first world problems 99% of the time.
How long were you in India for after, like, when you went there?
So I lived there from when I was 13 to 16. So I was there my freshman,
Oh,
sophomore,
nice,
yeah. And then I came
nice,
back and finished my. So it was
nice.
definitely a culture shock being in India,
Yeah,
seeing things, the smells, the people. You know, I grew up in a very, you know, Caucasian, you know,
right.
area in Arizona. And we, you know, hung out with some Indians, but they're not, you know, very religious
Yeah.
or practicing. And so you get to see different things. I wore bana, got to do seva at the, you know, Harmandir Sahib. It was quite an experience.
Wow.
And that kind of definitely carries on to nursing and like the anesthesia profession, because you're still servicing people and you're
It is a
compassionate.
service.
Yeah. So that
It is a
kind
service. No, Darbar Sahib, that place is magical. No matter where you are on the religious spectrum, I feel like that place is very magical. I mean, you guys are lucky,
Yes,
Geet and
we know
Jazz.
it.
But
For me, it was
yeah,
opposite. I was born here, but I grew up in India until I was 6, and then
oh,
my
nice,
grandparents raised me, and then I came back in 2000. Yeah.
nice, nice.
Yeah, wow.
Well, for me, I was born raised in India, okay, and I was there for 16 years, okay, so whatever. But I was gonna say, I want to give a special shout out to Jazz, and she's very humble. But I want to give a special shout out to Jazz. I remember first time meeting her, and we spoke, and she introduced me to, like, people who are involved with the AANA, and she introduced me to them like I'm her brother, which I am. But she took that extra time and help me be more comfortable, and I would never forget that. I never forget that. So thank you so much, Jazz. We
Well,
appreciate you a
thank
lot.
you for being there. I mean, I
Of
I
course.
love I've not even when I was in anesthesia school, there was one other person that was an Asian person in my
Yeah,
class. So we are really underrepresented, you know. So
yeah,
seeing you there too, and like this is people, this is my brother, you know, right here.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you are.
Let's go. So the next question is for Geet. So Geet, how do you integrate the core values of the Sikh religion, like seva? Seva is selfless service for people who don't understand Punjabi. Chardi Kala, which means resilience, and Simran, which is meditation, mindfulness, into your daily work life routine as a CRNA.
I think I've mentioned it earlier about how like my mom inspires me. She shows me Chardi Kala, like resilience. She's the definition, she's the epitome of this. Because like I said, she works hard, she never complains, she makes sure that whatever we need, our needs are always met. I do
Right.
my part now and I'm always pouring into her, which she hates. Punjabi women, man. They want to give you everything they have, but they will never pour
They
back
don't
into
want anything
themselves.
else. Yeah.
So for me, she has always taught me resilience is so important. And you know what? When I went to India back in January 2024, I was lucky to hear about Bhai Kanhaiya. So I don't know how
Baikani
much,
yes,
huh?
Baikani
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Baikani
So
yes.
I was really inspired because I've always been the happiest when I take care of others. I feel like it makes me happy. Um, and when I learned about how he was so selfless with his seva, like
Yes.
giving pani to the enemies, and Sikh Punjabi people were like, oh, that's not nice, like you should be caring about your people. And I believe Guru Gobind Singh Ji like had to intervene and say, no, this is actually beautiful, like we're all human beings, we're all equal. So to me, I was like, wow, that's amazing. So that was really cool for me to see how people in Sikh history have done so much. And then I'll add on to Bhagat Puran Singh. So where
Ji.
I live in the Central Valley, there's a big Punjabi Sikh population.
Right.
And the Bibshi was started, I don't know where exactly, but I saw the initiative really taking place when I was in high school or college. And a lot of Punjabi people, like they helped with these health screenings at the Gurdwara, like they'll check your blood pressure, they'll educate, the common people about, oh, like this diet might not be the best for you. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੂਣ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ. Oh, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ, whatever, but you're risking hypertension and
Yeah.
this. Oh, ਮੈਂ ਠੀਕ ਆ, ਮੈਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ. Like, no, you need to get a checkup, Just because you don't go doesn't mean you're healthy. So just I have been so fortunate enough to see all these different ways that the Sikh community here is involved in trying to uplift the community. So for me, I want to do my part. I always educate my patients. I do the best I can whenever I have an opportunity to help out. Somehow I do my best. I show up.
Wow. That was so wow. I'm speechless. For those people who don't know, Bhai Kanhaiya ji, who was a Sikh during the time of the ninth Guru and the 10th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur ji and Guru Gobind Singh ji Maharaj. But during the Battle of Anandpur Sahib, he did something extraordinary, which Geet just mentioned. So he didn't just go around and offered water to the sick wounded, but he also offered water to the Rajput, Hindu Rajput wounded. And when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj asked him, like, why are you doing this? Right? He said that I don't see them as Hindu, Sikh, or Muslim. I just see their pain. Right? So Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj was moved by that. So by just offering water, he ended the animosity, right? He ended that fight, if that makes any sense. So that is all Sikh is about, right? Being in Chardi Kala, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Wow. All right, moving forward, this is moving forward. So this question is again for Geet. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like we're a patient
Ooh.
or colleague? Do you have to go?
No,
Or
I'm so excited about answering this.
all right.
I'm
So this
ready.
question again for Geet. Have you ever had a moment or where a patient or colleague felt comforted or inspired by seeing a sick provider? Stage is yours.
So I'm very passionate about educating my patients. I want what's the best for them. And every time I talk to them, when I interview them, I tell them, I think knowledge is power. I want you to feel empowered. If you don't want me to be super specific and detailed about what your plan is, then I won't, because I don't want to scare you. But I just want you to know what to expect, so that way you go in feeling like, okay, I have some kind of control because I can anticipate what's coming. For me, like I said, I work in the Central Valley. I have a huge Punjabi patient population, and one of the patient populations that I feel so like happy and grateful to take care of are my pregnant Punjabi women. I don't know how many times like I've taken care of like I'll be called in, and the nurse will tell me, "Hey Geet, I think she wants an epidural, but like they don't understand." And I've tried to explain, or they're just scared. Can you please educate them? So I've gone in and I introduce myself, and then you can't see my face when I'm wearing a bonnet and a topi. I have a small face. So I will just say like, "Oh, would you rather I prefer I talk to you in Punjabi or English?" And a lot of times, even if they're proficient in English, they just feel so comforted knowing that I can even speak in Punjabi.
Yeah.
So then I'll give them my spiel, and I don't know how many times I've had patients, and this blows my mind because it goes all back to educating. Is when I've talked to the patient, and the wife will look at the husband, and she's like, "Tanu ki lagda? What do you think?" And he'll be like, "Chal mummy nu phone karke puchde ha." And I'm like, you can't ask a third person, your mother-in-law, your mom, if
Yeah.
you should get an epidural. Are you kidding me? So I don't know, like for
Never
me,
know.
it's
What is that?
so for me, it's like, okay, well, I have to be again professional. So I'll be like, I'll laugh and just be like, oh, tadi mummy tada bacha paida kar de pe, whatever, just making a joke out of it. Because at the end of the day, she is having the child. She should decide, what she wants to do to control her pain. Nobody else should be making that decision for her. So for me, education is everything. So I'll give them, like, hey, this is what's gonna happen, whatever, whatever. And there's so much like misconception about, oh, if you get an epidural, you're gonna have back pain for the rest of your life. Hey, you did this, don't do it. So it's so important to educate them so that they feel empowered. And it's so nice to, Jazz mentioned this as well. Like anesthesia is like magic. You can, when you do OB and you can see the mom is writhing in pain and you get that epidural in and she's comfortably smiling through her contractions, you're like it's just, oh my gosh, that feeling is just nothing like other. So for me, I get really excited, especially to take care of my pregnant Punjabi women. But all patients, a lot of times we have the elderly Punjabi women, men, and they don't understand why it's so important to take their medications, like medication compliance. So educating them, like, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ blood pressure ਅਗਰ ਏਡਾ high ਰਹੂਗਾ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ stroke ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਆ ਹੋ ਜਾਊਗਾ. And then they're like, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਦੀ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ. Just translating in English for those who don't understand, like,
Yeah.
oh, I really need to take these meds for my blood pressure. What do you mean I can have a stroke or a heart attack? And I don't know about you guys, but I have been noticing, I've been taking care of a lot of younger Punjabi patients that are having
Mhm.
strokes.
Mhm.
And I think everything goes back to education. So I
Yeah.
think it's so important to educate our people, like, hey, be careful about the salt you're eating. Yes, you walk, but that doesn't mean you can just skip your medications. You need to check your blood pressure. You need to do this. Never from a mean place, but just education is so important. So I love where I live because I have that opportunity to educate my people and uplift them. I mean, obviously, of all people, but I just think it hits better when I explain to them in Punjabi, like, hey, this is why we care and this is what's going to happen. And I always tell them, like, my job isn't to scare you. I just want you to be aware of every decision you make, it's going to have an outcome. Sorry, I was really passionate about that one.
No, this is
Geet, shout out to you. I don't have that experience. I've maybe worked with 5 or 10 Punjabi patients in my life. But shout out to you and shout out to women empowerment.
yes,
I think in our society, we don't have that enough, especially for folks that recently have come to the
right.
States. You're absolutely right. They tend to focus the attention towards their spouse of what do you think is best, but acknowledging them, the partner or the family member in the room is very important, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's what you
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
right? So empowering them and allowing them to be, letting them know that it's okay for you to make your decision is critical.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
that's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to you, Geet. Shout out to you. And then when you said that, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ? I'm like, wow,
No, that
that's
blew my mind. I kid you
literally
not,
my
because
parents.
I had it.
That
Oh
is
my
our
gosh.
stories. That is literally
Yeah.
my story. No,
Yeah.
wow.
And I came home and I'm married. My mother-in-law is amazing. And I came home and I told him, I was like, this happened at work today. Like she asked him and he said, Mummy ji nu puchte hai. And she was laughing. She's like, Geesh ਜਦੋਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਹੋਈ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਮੀਤ ਨੂੰ ਕਵਾਂਗੀ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ, like just being silly, but it just again,
Yeah.
culturally things are different. Every family is very modern, or they have the way they function the way they do. But I
Right.
always just want my patients to know that at the end of the day, like the decision is in your hands, it's your body. You should decide how you want to be cared for.
There's this one time, so who don't know, the way I got into nurse anesthesia was because when I was born, this was a village in India, and my mom was also in like a very extensive labor. Long story short, the reason I wanted to get into anesthesia was to also take care of the OB population. So I was a doula volunteer, and I saw something
Wow.
very similar. So if you know Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, San Jose Bay Area, and something very similar, like they would just assign us to patients who didn't have a doula. So I was taking care of a Punjabi family. So first of all, it was a big stigma, and I was like, I'm comfortable stepping this one out because being another dude, I get it. But I heard the conversation, and it was a similar. exchange. So that's why I feel like these roles and to be that advocate, it goes beyond just what we do in anesthesia. So I'm glad you were there. I'm glad you were there, Geet.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Moving forward, this question is for Jup. How do you balance your faith, your cultural identity, and high intense pressure during and your clinical responsibilities? Like, how do you balance all of that?
Yeah, great question. Every morning when I'm waking up or specifically driving to work, I have about an hour drive from my house to the hospital. Most of the time listening to some kind of kirtan or bhat, starting my day.
Yes.
So, God lives with all of us. Doesn't matter how you believe in God, that is your personal choice. But I myself personally enjoy just listening to bhat and start my day like that. And I have the pleasure to take care of patients and provide a difference in their life. So seva at all times, right? Educating patients. I love educating folks on. I'm a I'm very passionate on nutrition and health, exercising. So whether it's 5 minutes, if I have a time to take to sit down and talk to a patient about something specific, we don't talk about preventive care in this country. It's very unfortunate. So anything I can do to educate that I enjoy, and just going to see my parents about an hour and a half away from here. They live in Northern Virginia, where I was born and raised. I every Sunday when I go see my parents, I go to Gurdwara just to see, sit down for an hour. Do I understand everything? Absolutely not. But it's just a feeling in the heart and mind and soul that allows you to continue and be here and feel blessed, right? To be able to wake up every day and do what you do and live a lifestyle that we
Count your
live,
blessings.
right? Especially in
Yeah.
2025 with what's going on nowadays, it's really difficult. People are getting laid off and not having jobs. So to be able to have a job and have a few days off during the week for me to go to the gym and run errands, it's a blessing. So I think about this every day, every minute. So it's a blessing throughout.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. Just counting your blessings and living in the moment. Living in the moment.
Always. Life is way too short, and that y'all have seen this. People are getting diagnosed with certain things way too soon, and we are seeing, and
But,
just count your blessings.
but I
Absolutely,
liked how you mentioned how we don't have emphasis on preventative medicine in
we
this
do
nation.
not.
Like
We do not.
I tell my parents like diabetes, hypertension is like ਜਿਵੇਂ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸਰੀਰ ਨੂੰ. It's a bug which eats you. It rots you from the inside, and you will never know
Right.
unless it's too late. And I explained like I wish we would better with the preventative medicine in this country. But thank you so much for sharing that. Jazz, next question is for you. So, what advice would you have to younger Sikh students or nurses who are thinking about becoming a certified registered nurse anesthesiologist?
That's a great question. I love mentoring young people coming into this profession. I think that's something that I think we've all mentioned a little bit, that there's not an awareness about us as a profession. So getting any type of interest from anyone from our community, from the Sikh community, the Punjabi community, would be very exciting for me. And I would say just don't let misrepresentation or lack of knowledge, define you. Like, you may be the only person in your class or pursuing this degree in your family or community, but there may be 3 more that will follow in those footsteps. If you pursue this passion and they see someone before them that's been able to do this, it's been able to successfully, perform anesthesia independently and
Absolutely.
go and teach people, if you can open those things and break down those barriers, that's huge. I would say don't give up. Just find mentors, find a community. That's huge. Even if it's not someone that identifies in your faith or your spirituality, having a close community around you is very important through this process, whatever your background is, because you won't get through a nurse anesthesia or nursing in general or life without a community.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Sangat.
yeah, you need that
It's
community. So I would say, yeah, just
it's just not limited to the Gurdwara. Sangat. Yeah.
yeah, you're always, and don't let other people define who you are. Like, you may look different, you may come from a different community. We always joke about, the way that I always, when people don't know who I am, and I'm like, I'm a dot, not a feather, because I grew up in Arizona, and when you say I'm Indian, they're like, well, what tribe? And I'm like, oh, not wrong one. Um, but being able to have that, awareness and telling people who you are. And I'm always like, that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it's very similar to Indian people. We are definitely the people that have the odd food. It's not the same, we didn't have the same kind of childhood cultures that other people may have. But just because you're different doesn't mean you can't still accomplish amazing things.
I generally feel like if we sit down and just pick differences between one another, I feel like there's not a lot of them. But when we sit down and just look at how similar all of us are, we are very similar. No matter what faith, like at the end of the day, it's crazy how similar other people are, their cultures, their religion, their food, and everything. I'm like, oh, this is how we do it. So I feel like you find what you look for. If you really want to look for differences, you will find differences. But if you're looking for a connection, you will find one. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jazz. I also have to ask you guys, and it is okay if you say no, but I do have a lot of people who ask for shadowing opportunities. Is that something which is possible with you guys? If they were to ask and I can give them your information. Geet says yes. Jazz, yes. Jup, can you look into it and let me know if that's possible, like shadowing opportunities?
Shadowing opportunities specifically at my hospital.
Shadowing with you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge advocate for
Perfect.
that.
So I will give your information. It's probably just your Instagrams, or I'll give Jep's number, but to people who are interested, because I have so many people who ask me. So this is great. This is great. Well, moving forward, I just didn't want to lose that thought. So I'm glad you guys can help out with that.
And can I add to the advice?
Hanji, please.
Okay. Let's see. For me personally, I know that when I wanted to become a CRNA, once I decided that, I had to sit down my entire family and tell them. I think I'm the glue of the family, which means like I'm making sure that if we have any events, we are all coordinated, or just taking on the responsibility to make sure like, hey, this is happening, we need to take care of this. So I had to sit down my entire family and kind of just tell them like, hey, this is what this program is going to demand out of me, which
Right.
means that I can't be available like I used to be. And I feel like that was a big void that my family definitely felt for that time, because they were almost like, Geet, are you neglecting us? And it was like, no, like I'm doing my best, but it's just not easy. My sister and my cousin, who I'm very close with, they all had kids the year that I started. And
Right.
for our Punjabi people, the first year is so important, like Bache di Pehli Diwali, like the first Diwali of the kid, all these
Yes.
like different,
Lodi, Diwali.
events.
Yeah.
So I personally, like, I bought stuff that I wanted to gift to all my nieces and my nephews and categorized it and put it away so that whenever event was coming, I was like, I know I was busy with my life with school, but whenever I needed to, I could show up and be like, I'm gonna be the best Masi today, when I have time. Or really prepare financially. Like this is a big, so Jup made a great point about talking about how like some degrees don't have the same payout. Like what you're putting in financially, you're not gonna make the same amount of
Same
money. It's
ROI,
not the best like best investment. So for me, my husband and I, we saved 100 grand, and we were hoping one of us would get into CRNA school. We didn't anticipate that we both would. So that money was either going to go into our education or put down for a down payment. So
right?
financially prepare yourself, because it's worth it. You are going to make your money back, but just know financially what can you cut out early, what are unnecessary expenses to save up the money that you need. I would also encourage that you know what are good, healthy coping mechanisms. For me, when I was in clinical, I didn't want to pay extra money for a gym membership. I am very conjuice. Like, I don't like to be a burden on my family when I have so much I'm already, like asking for when I was in
Right.
school. So for me, like I was like, I'm not paying for a gym membership. I would take my kettlebell, my yoga mat, and I had all these like YouTube videos that I would just work out to when I got back from clinical. Like I would wear my workout close to clinical, came back and was like, I don't have an excuse. Like I need to work out. Because at the end of the day, like preventative care, take care of yourself. You can't pour into other people if you don't take care of yourself. So be the best version of yourself. If it's running, listen to a podcast. There's so many ways that you can still learn and get yourself moving. I had my mother-in-law was amazing. She always prepared my food for me for the week, so I wasn't eating out. I was eating healthy, was taking care of myself. What else can I say? There's so much advice I want to give. Biggest one I would also say for those that are actually currently applying is please, please, please be yourself. Let your personality show. Like there's all these platforms that are
Big.
trying to help like nurses
Did I just
transition
lose
to
her?
becoming a NAR. Oh, do you hear me?
I can hear
Can you
you
hear
now.
me?
I
Okay.
just lost.
You froze for a
Oh,
second, but
For
you're
a
okay.
you're
second.
back.
So
But there's so
rewind
many,
from where
yeah.
you were saying the biggest
there's
advice.
there's so my biggest advice for those that are currently applying is please show your personality in your interviews. Like there's so many academies and all these platforms to help you transition from becoming a nurse to a NAR and get into school, with the interview practice and all. But I at the end of the day, I feel like they make you sound generic. That's not me coming from a mean place. I just want to tell people what I see. So I think it's so important to let your personality show. Like if they remember you, then you did something right. I don't
Right.
know if you'll get it or not, but if they remember you and they remember what your personality was, then you did a great job of showcasing who you are and what you believe in and whatnot. I think it's so important for that. What
If
else?
you
I literally made a list.
if you wear a pug, it helps, because they're like, oh yeah, I know that
Oh,
guy.
another big thing would be is communication. My husband and I like I think it's commonly known when people pursue CRNAs, sometimes people don't make it out of the program still married. So
We had we had one of
communicate, yeah, I think we had one too. But communication is everything. So my husband and I have a very cool journey. We have been together since we were doing prereqs for nursing. We did the CNA program together. We were at nursing programs at different places at the same time. We did the RN like residency at the same hospital. We were in different ICUs, and then I got into CRNA school a year ahead of him. But for us, like school has always been pivotal. Like we've always navigated and walked that path together. But for us, communication was so important because at the end of the day, that's my ride or die. Like, I want to make sure that, yes, I want to be educated, but I want to come out from the program still with my marriage intact. So for us, communication was huge. Like I would check in and just let him know. I'm an over communicator because I just don't ever want people to miss something important. So I always would tell him and my mother-in-law, everybody, hey, I have this important test coming up or I have this coming up, so I might be a little MIA. And my family has been so, so supportive. I literally think I struggled, like literally the best family ever to always be like, Geet, what do you need? Well, how can we help you? Like, I'm so blessed. So communication, be financially ready. The learning strategies that you use during nursing school might not be applicable for CRNA school because it's literally like when you start, it could be like could be front loaded or integrated the program that you apply for. But regardless, they shove so much information down your throat. You need to really relearn how you learn to be successful. So that's all the advice I have.
If I can if I can add a few things, beautifully said. I want to reiterate to those who possibly may be thinking about pursuing this field, going into nurse anesthesia school and being in a nurse anesthesia school is not easy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It is a dedication for 3 years of your life. You have to pause your life. You will miss weddings, you will miss birthdays, whatever the situation is. You need to be able to know that, okay, I'm going to be dedicating these 3 years and being busy, long hours, stressful hours. Um, it doesn't matter what kind of background you're coming from and trying to go into becoming or going to CRNA school. It doesn't matter if you have 2 years of ICU experience or 15 years of ICU experience. anesthesia school is a different ball field. It is completely different. So I would first of all drop the ego. If there is any, you have to be humble in this field, because what you see and what you do as a nurse anesthesia resident is completely different compared to being in nursing school. So if you were to go to that next level, just know that it's not easy, but any CRNA that you meet, I've never met a CRNA that regretted doing what they did. It is a beautiful field, an amazing career, and a very good lifestyle. So there is dedication in the front for a lifelong of investment for you and your family. So absolutely, just think about those things and have a good social structure. Definitely. Doesn't matter if it's your parents, your spouse, your best friends. Do not go into this program by yourself and have no one at your side. It's going to be very difficult. So whatever your passion is, whether it's exercising, cooking, traveling, if there is time to travel, whatever the situation is,
Talking to your dog.
have something that,
if it's talking to your dog, like
yeah, anything. Having a pet, absolutely, man. Anything it is, just everyone has their own passion and what they do to relieve that anxiety, to relieve that stress. We all go through hard times, so just know that you need some kind of social structure to be able to assist you into getting into CRNA school and graduating, because it's not easy. And yes, there are people sometimes that may fail a class or whatnot, and you're out of the program. That's just the unfortunate part there. Oh, and one last thing. It does not matter what CRNA school you go. You do not have to go to the best CRNA school. I know a lot of people think that I have to go to the top schools. I live 20 minutes from supposedly a top school, but that doesn't matter. I think it's how you get your training and the degree that you have. At the end of the day, you will have a job as long as you are a certified registered nurse. No one's going to be looking at your CV saying, "Oh, you went to this program, we're going to hire you." It's all about being certified.
I just want to say too, if there's any people listening to this podcast that are considering CRNA school and are Sikh Punjabi, please reach out to us. Like that would be another thing I'd recommend. Like finding those mentors, send us a message. Happy to chat.
Yeah, likewise.
I have two things. First thing, from what just Jup mentioned, I feel like the best school is the one that you get into. First thing first.
Yeah. Well said, man. That's very true.
So competitive. It is so competitive. And once you get in, I feel like getting in is one thing, and then just surviving and even thinking about thriving is another thing, right? So those are two things. So there's that.
And it's not cheap. It is not cheap. Maybe when Jazz and I were in school, I started in 2016. Programs were cheaper.
Yeah, that's great.
That being
must
said,
be nice. I'm kidding.
Really expensive though. When I looked at schools, like I stayed in Arizona and gone to a school here and come out with like 150,000 plus in debt. But I chose to move to North Carolina because there were 6, there's a highly populated area of nurse anesthesia programs on the East Coast, which we don't have on the West Coast. So yeah, it does not matter what school you go to. It matters that you get the degree, because you're going to be able to work wherever you want. I can go to work any place I want to any day of the week. They're not going to care about where I went to school.
More so than,
and you will pay off. Yeah, you will pay off your debt. Don't think this is a lifelong. You make enough of a living that you will live well. It has significantly changed from 8 to 10 years ago. Salaries used to be very different, and they have changed in a very positive way. So yes, you are graduating with a significant amount of debt, but you're also entering a field that gives you a good payout for a good work-life balance.
More so than the program, I would say it's what you put in. It's your experience. You're responsible. Don't think, oh, I got into this program, I'm going to be amazing at all of this. No, you need to put in the work.
You need to put in the work. Absolutely. You can't ask the program for everything. It's your degree. It's what you expect out of your training. Yeah. So
if I'm not mistaken, most programs that give you an interview, usually you're already in. They just want to see you by face to make sure that.
Not anymore. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
500.
used to be that way. It used to be that way. So,
Okay.
like, I'll give you an example. Like, for National University, we get close to 400 to 500 applicants, and then 100 applicants are interviewed, and then there is 29 to 30 spots. So, interview is they like you on paper, and then
Yeah.
I mean, you get an interview, they like you on paper, and then from that interview to getting a seat is that. So there's still a 67% chance that you might not get in.
That's
But
like how it is here at Midwestern. They have a ton of applicants because
Mhm.
Arizona
it's
just doesn't have
crazy
any schools.
competitive nowadays.
That's very competitive. We have people that get waitlisted year after year, and they are high performing, well qualified candidates that are going to be phenomenal CRNAs, but they get it's just a numbers game. So apply everywhere and succeeds
Yeah.
everywhere.
I thought I actually applied to National
You
University.
did? I'm sorry.
I did.
Sorry.
When I got the interview, I got a phone call actually 2 days before from my other program in Florida, at Barry University, saying that, hey, you got accepted. I just ended. I got waitlisted in Michigan. I applied to 4 programs, waitlisted at one, and then got interviews, and then I got accepted at Barry initially, and I said, why not? I'll just go to
Barry's a
Florida.
good program.
Yeah, it's a great program.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, for mine, that's why I said I apologize. I didn't want to take away my program specifically. Majority of it was that if you were given an interview, it was pretty much that you were in, and they told us that at the day of.
Right.
So that was pretty nice. They asked my interview process during that was about 10 minutes long. They just asked why you want to do this, can you handle this, and that was it. So talking to a majority of the people that they had got interviews, they said that it was pretty much seeing you by face.
Interview process is very different across the board, Jeff.
Very true.
The
Very
program
true.
that I went to too, they told me the day that I interviewed that I got in. But the programs that I applied to Duke, Georgetown, and UNC Raleigh, and some of them were vastly different, very critical, very behavior questions. Like you are on an interview like for your life. And I've sat in on some interviews for U of A, new program, and then Midwestern's interview questions, and they are very, very competitive. Clinically, they ask you questions. They expect you to know everything. And I always joke with my residents that I mentor now. I was like, if I had to apply back now and go through some of the steps that you guys have gone through, because I mean, shadowing, going to conferences, we have anesthesia residents coming to our AZANA conferences. They're not even in anesthesia school yet. They just want to expose themselves and get that, so that's how motivated candidates are. So definitely, I feel like at least in the last decade since I've been in this profession, it's gotten so competitive.
Yeah. I also say do it for the right reasons. Like, yes, we say financially it's worth it, but don't be stuck in a profession that you hate, because it's not just toxic for you, it's toxic for the people that work with you too, and it shows. It shows when you're in it for the wrong reasons. That's my belief.
Absolutely. Preach. I really like what Geeth mentioned about how you had a conversation with your parents. I feel like being the elder son of an immigrant family, especially when your parents don't really speak English, a lot of responsibilities are on my shoulders. So I had to sit down with my folks too, and be like, this is what I'm putting myself into. Like, yes, I will be there. So what I have is like my dad, my mom, and my brother's phone number is past the D&D, but everyone else is still on D&D when I go to clinicals, and I tell them, like, if it's an emergency, that's when you call me and I'll get you a call or text. But you wait to hear from me. When I'm home, I will give you a call, right? And it was difficult in the beginning, but now they get it because they also see the hard work that's put into it. Like when I was studying for the C exam, because our school makes us do the C before we start clinicals, you have a certain score we have to meet. Like I was studying 8 to 12 hours a day minimum for at least like month and a half, and my back was aching, everything hurts, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I sign up for? But they saw that, like, he's just not making this up, right? So it's very important so that they also see this, right? But yeah, moving forward, and we are almost closing up here on the questions.
Can I add one more tiny thing?
Yes, 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 please. Go ahead.
If you're applying and you're seriously considering it and you're struggling, make sure you retake your science GPA classes,
Yes,
like be a higher qualified candidate. That is very competitive. So just realize that this is very likely to be affecting your entrance. Just go and take your science classes again.
Yep, absolutely. So this question is for Geet. Geet, what do you think? What role community, whether it may be Sangat in the Sikh surroundings or just with your CRNA peers, play in your well-being and just success, overall success?
Okay, so I work at a few hospitals. One of the hospitals I currently work at, there's not many CRNAs, and it's I feel like there's a lot of resistance between the anesthesiologists and the CRNAs. They don't understand what our scope is, and it's just a big old thing. And I don't know how many times I've had to reach out to CRNAs that I've worked at with other facilities or my professors who are involved in CANA, just to say like, hey, I need help. I need to just try to educate them because I can't keep working here, but I don't want to leave because I want there to be change. Like, I will not let them walk all over us. I want there to be a better integration. Like, I have worked at so many, like when I went to clinical, for me, a big driving factor for why I chose Samuel Merritt was I was married and I didn't want to leave California. I wanted to do all my sites, clinical sites in California because I knew I was going to live here. This is where I'm going to be forever. So I got to see how CRNAs and anesthesiologists work at all these different places. And I was like, I'm not okay with this where I'm working right now. I'm not okay with it. I want there to be change. So I think the CRNA community is amazing. They're available to uplift you. I have, like I said, I reach out to them all the time if I'm worried about like, hey, like I need more information about how I can get information through to them about direction, medical direction versus supervision. Like this is my scope, like this is something I'm competent at doing or whatever. And how do I handle this professionally and not come off aggressive? So yeah, I think the CRNA community is very important to me. I try to be very involved. Like I try to go to lobby day when I can because we stand on the shoulders of giants. I've inherited a practice because of amazing CRNAs before me that were trailblazers, and I want to do my part to make sure that going forward, the future CRNAs also have a great practice that they inherit from us. I go to conferences to see what's the most updated information. I think our community is amazing. They're so uplifting, and it's amazing to see how passionate people are. I don't think we should just think, okay, I'm a CRNA, I'm gonna work in the operating room, and that's it. I make money, I go home. No, you have to be aware about what's happening everywhere so you can protect that practice. Don't take it for granted.
No, absolutely. Talking about conferences, I know you're coming to the October one
Yes.
in Vegas.
Yay!
Are you coming, Jazz?
I'll be there. Azana's
I don't know.
repping. I haven't registered yet, but I'm
Jazz,
going.
we'll meet there.
Yes, I don't know if you're gonna come there, Jeff. It's a West Coast one.
No, I can't. No, I'm actually out of
Oh,
town
you
that
are.
weekend.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys, Geet and Jazz, I'll be talking there, so be there Saturday morning. Support.
I just wanted to add to that question too a little bit, just because for me in Arizona, like the CRNA community is very near and dear to my heart. I've followed in some very large footsteps before me and have had some really amazing mentors, clinically, professionally, advocating wise, even socially. We have a big family here, and I think it's good for all of us as providers to kind of realize, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a tech, whether you're a scrub, your community is the people that are there for you. Like when I work at lots of different hospitals, I rotate, I cover, I'm a free bird. I go lots of places with lots of groups. But I go to these hospitals, and like when you go there, you bring your A game, and like that's your family for the day. That's your community. And so, you're representing you and your profession, but you're also building that community within each of your workplaces. And like I would not be able to do my job if I didn't have a CRNA or a friend or someone I could call at the end of a bad day or a shit shift where something wasn't great, or you look back and you're like, I wish I could have done this. Something wasn't the best. Like maybe in hindsight, you always have those moments, and we don't really debrief the way that other high acuity professions do. Like they would never expect someone to have an adverse event in aviation and then go resume another case and go take care of another patient 5 minutes later, or go, oh, you've got another flight to get off. You just crashed that one. They didn't do well, but here's your next flight path. So having that community of people around you, I think, is really essential to do what we do, because you need to have that support structure, whether it's with your Sikh community, your family, your loved ones, or just your CRNA friends or your nurses, whoever it is that I'm going to a rock concert in a week, and the band is made up of a CRNA, an orthopedic surgeon, and a cardiologist. And they're in a band together, and that's like the community we build, because we all work together, and it is a family unit, and I think that's important.
Orthopedic surgeons, they know music. Last week I was in that.
Loud music.
Last week I was in that ortho OR, and I was like, oh my god, this guy. He was on to something. They know music. So now we are almost done with our podcast here. So this last question is for each and every one of you. For each one of you individually, what do you think the Sikh Awareness Month mean to you as a healthcare provider, as a CRNA, as a mom, as a dad, as a husband, and why it is important to celebrate being a Sikh in today's day in the United States of America? So I'll start with Geet, then Jazz, and then Jup.
Why do I have to go first?
You're the first one in my. That's how I go.
I like I said, I live in the Central Valley, huge patient population of Punjabi people. I know when I started clinical and I saw when I worked with a few female CRNAs, I was like, oh my God, like we exist. And I just want to do my part, uplift people and just show them that, like, if I can do it, you can do it, like, obviously do it for the right reasons, because it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of responsibility. So don't just pursue for different financial reasons, but I just want to make sure that we uplift the community. I think I feel so happy when I can see my patients visibly relax when they see me and I talk to them and I kind of coach them, like, hey, this is what what you're anticipating. This is what's gonna happen, and the trust that they have. So it makes me so happy. And again, we all have said this too. A lot of our people community don't know about CRNA, so it's really exciting that we have this position where we can empower our patients, educate them, and give them a better just glimpse of what we can do as a community.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, Beat. Jazz, what does it mean to you?
I definitely identify a lot with what Geet just said too. Just being a woman in this community, you don't see a lot of us around. Even just, I get a lot of patients. I've never had a, person put me to sleep who's a woman, or, so it's even just that, getting that in there. But I think Sikh Awareness Month is important for me. I think I had to think about this for a little bit, because really right now it's a tough time in the world, and there's a lot of stuff going on that I think is a majority of it is a lot of ignorance and just not knowing. We have inherent cognitive biases about people based on the way they look, the way they talk, the way they seem. And that's unfortunate. So I think having this podcast, like having these conversations, putting it out there and just educating people kind of is important for us as a community, so that we get it out there, because people do misunderstand and do not understand who we are, what is the heritage, why do you wear a turban, why do you have long hair, why do you believe this or that, So I think it's important for us to just being aware that, at least for myself, the reason why I hope to share my stories, that I am, first generation Indian woman who's doing this. I am a single mother, and it is possible. I know a lot of nurses and CRNAs that don't think becoming a CRNA is possible if you are a mom or a parent, or they try and juggle their life around having children, and it is possible and you can do it. So just being able to put that story out there and say that it is possible, and remind people that diversity is not a taboo word. It's okay. We can get along and work together. It's become this negative connotation thing where people are divisive about it, but it's really just celebrating each other, because everybody is diverse. We're all part of DEI. Everyone has their own story and their own identity, and that's what it's about.
Breaking barriers one day at a time. I love it. Jup, same question for you, Vire. What does Sikh Awareness Month mean to you?
Yeah, what everyone else touched based on, just educating folks out there, who we are, what we believe in, um, what our background is, um, what our identity means to us. I think me personally, 9/11 was pretty big. I was 11, but the first hate crime that happened after that occurred to a Sikh individual in Arizona, Balbir Singh Sodhi, and that event for sure changed my life and a life of many others to educate folks that we live in this country, right? And we believe in helping others. We have a beautiful religion, a beautiful culture, a beautiful background of helping folks, um, um, just accepting everyone at our temple. Doesn't matter who you are. We accept all faiths. We don't convert anybody. We provide a free meal to anybody who wants to learn about our religion. So I think Sikh Awareness Month for me personally is a time of all times to educate folks of who we are, what we believe in, and I hope for the future generation we can keep doing that. Um, I don't want to lose our culture. Luckily I was born to immigrant parents, and they've taught me Punjabi first, even though I was born in this country. But I don't want to lose that mother tongue. So I speak Punjabi fluently with my parents to this day, and have balancing those two faiths is very important. And hence, that's why I chose the partner that I have. And yeah, that's what I believe in. Hopefully we can do that for our future children one day.
Thank you, Jeff, for mentioning that thing that happened in Arizona, because that hit very hard, close to home for us. And
absolutely, I think it was in Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, and then you just worry, like, I'm gonna go to Costco or get gas, and just because the way I look, am I gonna get shot and killed? And it's because people thought that he was one of the people. It's just scary. But yeah,
absolutely, yep.
Well,
how about you, Taran? Actually,
what about
we're gonna switch this and give you the floor here. What does Sikh Awareness Month mean for you?
Oh man, I remember when I moved here. So my dad, long story short, but he's a hard worker, and when we moved here, we were working through our way with our immigration and stuff. So finally, when we got our paperwork, like I was authorized to work, when we got our green card and everything. This is 2015 November. So I was 16. So moving into a country where not only you are culturally shocked because the culture is all different, and then second, you move into a country where when you're in India, Sikh people are highly respected because of what they have done in terms of the contributions to the army or just society upliftment in general. But when you come to another society where people kind of look at you suspicious or in an eye of just anxiety or fear, that was very new to me. So I made it a mission of my own. Like when I do have kids, and hopefully if they do choose to preserve their identity, I want this place to be a safer environment for them. So that's what the whole thing started. Like I want people who look like me in this profession in advance, right? And I had motivation from my first job actually, and I applied for a Taco Bell position, and I was a junior in high school, and needed some extra cash just to help out my parents, and everything went through. And then you'd be surprised, the manager was a Punjabi guy. This is in San Jose, California, and everything goes through. And you know what he tells me, and I go like the day before the day before I was supposed to start, and he looks at me, he's like, but that you would have to shave your beard before you start tomorrow. And if it came from a Caucasian, non-Sikh, non-Punjabi guy, it makes sense. Whatever, they don't know about my religion. But when it came from a Punjabi, I was like, wow. I was like, damn, bro. Just like that, huh? So I made it a mission of myself. Like, I'm going to preserve my identity. I'm going to keep it the way it is. And of course, practice safe, right? I do wear a papper when I need to, whatever it may be. But I will make it easier for my future kids and other Sikhs that you can preserve your identity and still do whatever you want to do. So it is very special, near and dear to me too. So thank you for asking. But thank you so much, everyone. The podcast is officially concluded now.
Yay.
I will share everyone's information, Geet and Jazz and Jup. We have been planning this for over a month or two now, but everyone has been, as you can imagine, everyone is pretty busy. But we want it to be in the month of April because of the significance it holds. And as they all mentioned, they are open to shadowing. So please, please, please reach out. Everyone here is pretty helpful. I try to go to conferences. So if you do see me, say hi. I don't have the money right now, but I will share my wisdom to pieces with you guys. But thank you so much for listening to us. And there's that.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us, man. It's an honor to be here and to meet fellow CRNAs and soon to be CRNAs. And I hope this is not the only time we do this. I continue doing this and spread the love.
This is the beginning, guys. I forgot to hit record. Oh my god!
Stop! I see the recording button.
Bro, I saw that 5, 4, 3 earlier.
Likewise, I just want to say thank you for setting this up. This was awesome. I've never done anything like this before, and I've never met any Sikh CRNA Punjabis either. So I was just really excited to be part of this and love to meet you guys in real life. It sounds like maybe in October, but I will definitely be.
Yes, in October for sure.
No,
I can't make it in DC, but if you guys ever come towards the East Coast or in Virginia, please let me know. I need to make it better.
Nashville in August. If any of you guys are interested, that's going to be a conference.
Yeah. Are you coming to DC?
No, I was thinking I need to make a better effort to go nationally as well to visit. As funny story, we had a what is it called? We had one here in Virginia in Richmond. February, and someone came up to me saying, "Hey, nice to see you again," and they thought it was you. So I was. Do you know Vinny?
I do know Vinny. Vinny Huang.
And Vinny's wife. Vinny's wife.
Vinny's wife, Amber.
Yeah, so she came and hugged me, and she's like, "Nice to see you again," and I was like, "Nice to see you."
That is hilarious.
So I told her because I had just reached out to you maybe a week or two before, and I was like, "Oh, no worries, I know who your mistake."
That is.
They're like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh my gosh, he looks."
That is so. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, definitely jump the conferences. I didn't go when I was in anesthesia school as a resident. I didn't actually get to go to the conferences because I was busy being a mom and doing other things. So I didn't actually go to national until I was back in Arizona, and now serving in my community in the space of volunteerism. Going to conferences, the national one is pretty incredible. There's so many CRNAs there. There's just this vibe. There's this, feel that you are a community, and it's really amazing. And you get to meet so many people.
No, absolutely. And shout out to you, Jazz, for not only being the president, but being, just being on the board itself and advocating for CRNAs. It's easy to go work, you do your job and come back home and live a normal life, but doing things behind closed doors and advocating for our profession, especially during these tough times, is very important. So, exactly. So that's important. And shout out to you, Dun, for having this time to as a student. That's tough, man. But doing this, I can see you as a future board member.
I do. You are president of CANA. They already know we're sign you up. There's some people that we meet. I know without a shadow of a doubt, they are going to be board member, future president, board member, future president. It is very easy to identify leaders early, and you are a leader.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I think we all have some kind of leadership in all of us, to be honest, especially when we're training students to become future CRNAs. But going that extra step, I do applaud for all of you for that.
Well, I have had so much fun. This is one of the most
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Shot or recorded. I can't say shot because Politically correct. Okay, don't cancel me, but record it. Okay, whatever, guys.
Yeah.
But all right, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. It was a pleasure meeting
Like-
everyone.
Guys. Thank you. Happy
Yeah.
Easter.